I'll declare the meeting of the Emergency Management Committee open. Thank you everyone for your attendance. This meeting is being recorded and will be put up on the website at a later date. And we have no apologies because everyone's here. We haven't got a public forum today. Is there any items not on the agenda that we don't know about? No. I doubt if there's conflicts of interest, but if there's any, declare them at the time. And then we go to the minutes of the meeting of October the 21st. Before is there anything around accuracy or points anyone wants to bring up? Yes.
I listed as being present via Teams, but I think I was in person. I don't think I was on Teams that day.
I can check.
Please do. I think that's accurate.
That's good. So I'll move the true and correct record. Have I got a seconder for that?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there anything that's not on the agenda that anyone else wants to cover from those minutes? So thank you. So we'll move on to the district manager's report. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. So just going back, so prior to our last meeting in October, the Emergency Management Committee is tasked with preparing the summer and our summer risk, and we started in September. And this year in particular, and Bruce can comment on it as well, it's paid extra dividends for us because with new contractors on board, both in parks and reserves and a lot of staff and beyond and so forth, there's a lot of new people around, a lot of new management around, and so we put a lot of, not pressure, but we just asked a lot of relevant questions regarding their preparation. And by and large, they came through. And the critical services, we were talking about solid waste, water, the three waters, and parks, they got through pretty well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so overall it went well. We had some real challenges on our hands, obviously on the back of COVID and all those kind of things. And I know that a number of our contractors, especially Smart, struggled to get temporary workforce over the summer. Ready pre-Christmas, so that was a real challenge. But we did put a lot of work in. I mean, we always put a lot of work in, but yeah, we did put a lot of effort and we had a few new managers around. I made the decision quite early that I was going to take 2 weeks off over that period, whereas I normally just work through. So so I made sure that my team were prepped and they knew that I wasn't going to be around for 2 weeks. And yeah, they all stepped up and they did a fantastic job and everything went really well. So yeah, so it was good actually. Yeah, couldn't have gone much better actually.
Sure, yeah. And that was across the board too, because we've had issues in the past with comms and that sort of thing, getting messages out and everything. But this year the managers were getting good intel to our comms team, who were able to put it out immediately. So if the rubbish wasn't picked up, people knew that it would be picked up tomorrow.
Yes, or they're still coming and they'll be.
So just a lot of small things. But what that did is that segued into our crisis management planning and our business continuity planning. And so the whole three sort of came together, and of course risk management. So overall, I've got to say, it was a lot of work, and we had a lot of meetings and a lot of chat amongst people. But overall, I think we've got a formula, I think, for us it works, because I don't have the data, and Lorna's online. She may be able to have some of that data, but it appeared that this summer was busier than last summer as well. We've still got some stats to come in.
Yeah. So sorry, just jumping through the chair. It is tricky to tell, until you get those stats in. Water figures were slightly up and slightly down across the township, so there was no clear pattern there. We've got reports that it was very busy for a day or two, couple of days, like in Whangamata, like busier than normal. But out and about a little bit over the peak, and it was busy, and I think it was busier than the previous year, but it wasn't. I don't think it was back to where we were pre-COVID. And the waters seem to kind of demonstrate that as well. So, but we did do a lot of work on water conservation as well. So it's never that straightforward, never that easy to.
Lorna?
Hi there. I was just going to mention that with the visitor data and the traffic data, it was pretty much on par with last year's figures around tourism numbers. We did a press release sort of about those numbers probably about a fortnight ago, so I can reshare that with everybody.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so so just running through that, one of the other things that the emergency management unit's been doing is we've linked up quite intensely with the DHB, and we've done this purposefully because they're very good at doing what they do, but they lack the ability to get good venues and that sort of thing, and mobilise and get traffic management and all the infrastructure around what they do as a health unit. So together with Te Korowai and the DHB, Pam and Helen have done a huge amount of work behind the scenes. Just, we'll get a call on the 11th hour saying, oh, we need to be here tomorrow. Well, let's make it happen. They get the venue booked, they make sure the traffic management's there and everything else. So they'll probably cover this off in their work program. But that was a big body of work that we got through. So we'll go on to Whisper, and once again, we'll probably cover it off in the work program, but this is the development of our the next alerting tool that we've got. The girls have made good progress on that as well, and been working with Gareth and IT getting that fine-tuned, so the girls can talk about it on their work program. So just going back, of course, we had Cyclone Cody came through, and that was followed, of course, by the quake in the Kermadec Trench. Once again, the time difference between the national warning and when the event actually occurred is still being worked on by NEMA. It was never going to be a life-threatening event. It was always a marine event. It was never going to be a tsunami of any description. But there were issues further up north, and normally at Port Charles, where we normally have issues in Tauranga Harbour. Pretty much all the estuaries around did have some effects, but it was nothing dangerous about them. But it was interesting having an ex-tropical storm and an earthquake on top of that. It was quite confusing. But yeah. I've just cut some stats there for you to look at to see that when the Tonga quake actually happened, and it just shows you that it's just the level of recording that we have available to us, and this was taken from the Waikato Regional Council, so they're right on top of it as well. So so we've still got a debrief on that. So what I've done is I've linked up with our Northland Regional Council and the Far North District Council, and we're working together asking NEMA collectively what the time span is, because it's not acceptable, because social media picks up a lot more. There's a lot more data out there for people to pick up before we can officially announce what we've been told. So we've now teamed up with Northland, and we're asking questions with the Waikato Regional Council to NEMA, and we'll just keep putting some pressure on.
So was that, Gary, was that around that 2.5 hours delay between the boy picking it up and? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So once again, like the blokes of Jose Barrera, who's on that panel, they were quite surprised about some of the delay as well, in terms of getting the data. They get it quite quickly, obviously, as a group of scientists. But so we'll just try and get to the bottom of it. But we just need to improve every time. Although they are only marine threats, so because if they have a major earthquake, well then something else is going to happen. But
yeah, and I think there's that balance, isn't there, between the when they're forecasting, as a cyclone, there's going to be a lot of rain and stuff. They do tend to be a bit, cautious on the side of be really careful, and then you get half an hour of heavy rain and that's it, and everyone goes, oh geez, that was a null event or something. So I guess there's that balance between that and
the cry wolves
and not responding at all. So and no matter what you do, you're wrong. So
like Cody, at one stage, Cody was going to hit us right on the nose.
Yeah.
And I actually got a call from Met Service and they just said, hey, we're just giving you, I've never had a direct call from the severe weather guys saying, just give me heads up here, it's hitting in. And overnight it went.
And then it went.
10 degrees, yeah. But yeah, that's the vagaries of ex-tropicals. And as you see now, they're heading down south. You know, the water's a lot warmer still. And the poor old West Coast is just getting.
Yeah, it's getting another dump, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So going through, so what I've done on page 4 is I've just given you an update on what we can expect through to March. So weather-wise, much of the same. Warm, muggy, probably our share of rain, and maybe 1 or 2 ex-tropicals still come through. And then one of the other things we've been quite busy on is the new updated emergency management bill that has been worked on by NEMA. And we've been subject to a number of forums with and workshops. You've done 2, have you done 2? Yeah, I've done 4. So as a result of that, I have collected all the data. So I also met with the leadership team. It was Rex and Bruce and Rob, and we went through the operational side of it, how it affected us operationally. I got that data, and then I sat in on the joint committee and the executives and all those. So what I've done is I've compiled all that information into a submission, and I sent that off before I went away last week. So that's there. And if you want a copy of it, just let me know and I'll send it out.
And I sent you out a copy of the regional ones.
So I just collated all of it. It's very similar. There's not a lot of difference between everybody. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of really good improvements. There's a lot of common sense things that they're looking to do. They're certainly looking to strengthen up the local side of civil defence and emergency management and make our delegations and our legal structures a lot tighter and probably easier for us to manage in terms of an emergency. What else are they doing?
So for me, the key things that come to mind is our role in clarity around non-declared emergencies and clarity around that involvement of iwi becoming much more partnered and structured throughout and not just at the end. Yeah, so to me, it's about roles really, iwi, and getting really clear about who does what.
So what I did is I made sure that Frank from our place and the Frank's counterparts in Hauraki and Matamata had all the data and everything else, and I had a meeting with them late last week, and we all got online and just went through it, and they were going to make their own submission from their perspective.
And this is pre the officials writing the bill.
Yeah.
And there's a webinar that was cancelled yesterday, but is rescheduled for the 18th, where the mayors are linking with the Minister Helen. And so I will be on that. I doubt if I'll have a lot of talking. There's lots of mayors that are good at talking. But I'll feedback if there's anything from there, but I think it's heading in the right direction. You would agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think you've captured it well. Non-declared emergencies, roles and responsibilities. You know, for us, those are the key things.
Yeah.
So were there any questions from my report? We did a lot of operational work.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yes, go Terry.
You said you're going to deal with it in the work program. The Whisper program, Gary, is that the right place when you're going to discuss it?
Yeah. So we're going to head to the work program now, Terry.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
No questions, and I'll get Pam and Helen to speak to it about where we're at with it.
And the work program's on page 64 of the agenda, because there's a lot of stuff from government.
Yes.
So who's going first?
Well, actually, while we're there, so Pam, can you come on and talk about Whisper and your part of the work program, please?
Sure. I will start with Whisper. It's probably top of my to-do list and has been for quite some weeks now. I'm working very closely with Eva. I think we are the first of any of the Waikato councils to go live and test Whisper, which is good. It's a whole lot of work. It's a full day of testing yesterday, and straight after this meeting, I'm testing again until 4 o'clock this afternoon. We've pretty much finalized all the legal and privacy stuff around getting all our council staff loaded into Whisper. There was a lot of legal stuff that we had to double check and triple check with regards to privacy and breaches of privacy and notification, and but all those boxes are ticked. The tool is definitely going to be linking in really well with our business continuity communications. And we should be able to go live to the public by the end of February. So it's not far away, but a lot of work happening in the background. At the next meeting, you'll be able to see it, use it, subscribe to it, etc. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I got one, Pam, if I can, through the chair.
Sure.
Yes.
How does the public sign up to it? Does it go on some sort of area by area or alphabetically, or how does it work?
So I've just received the public communications plan from Waikato Regional Council. So we're tweaking that, the comms plan to fit with our locals. We would have obviously go promoted through radio, newspaper, our website, through my community response groups. We would provide links and instructions on, because you'd have to go to their website and subscribe yourself. The public are going to be responsible for subscribing themselves and keeping their details up to date. However, we are planning a bit of a road trip around the district, where I will use my community response groups to so we can identify the vulnerable people in each community, and we would have an opportunity to sit down with the community and work through the process of getting them subscribed. That is how we plan to do it.
Okay, that's great. That communities groups was really important to hear, so well done. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll just work through my few points on the work program. Tsunami information, or the Tsunami Information Project. As you know, I've completed the Tsunami Information Boards on the East Coast. That's Whangamata to Kennedy Bay. Tomorrow, I'm on the road all day scouting locations for the Thames Coast. I'll probably have to do another day next week because it is rather time consuming. I'll try and do it tomorrow. The next big part of the project that I'm starting is a meeting with the roading department and Ventia next week to confirm pricing on installation for the evacuation route signs, which I'm hoping will start as soon as we have a solid plan in place and the pricing confirmed. Operational readiness, I am working on restocking the community response bins. Oh, actually, I did just in December restock all the PPE for those bins, and I need to plan a road trip probably within the next 3 months to look at these bins, see what's in them, update the paperwork and the stock, and train our council staff. Just a bit of a refresher on what is in the bin and what is useful. Sorry, I can hear myself echoing, and it's really hard to.
You sound right here.
Okay, good. It's really hard. I can hear myself speaking 3 times over. Public education. Yes, the biggest push for public education would be around Whisper, which is coming up in the next couple of weeks. Community response planning. All plans have been updated along the East Coast, with the final one done again in Tairua in December. And I'm working my way down from Coromandel and Thames Coast community response groups over the next few months. I have a year to do it, but I'm going to try and get it done as soon as I can. And then a big push for me is trying to establish a, excuse me, a group in the Puri, Hatatoki, Hikataya area. That would be the rural community. I'm working closely with Leanne in Fire and Emergency who lives there, who's trying to find me the right contacts because it is a different process that I need to follow. Luckily, I have Leanne who will help me connect in with the community there. First thoughts on that is that they don't really feel that they need to do plans because they are farmers, they know each other, they know how to look after themselves. If that is what they want, that's fine, as long as I can build relationships with them so they know who I am and they can always contact us.
There's quite vibrant school communities out that way as well. The principals might be useful in terms of knowing to link in, and Cheryl Fitzpatrick, who's on the Thames Community Board, lives out that way, so she might be a good contact as well in terms if you need extra local intelligence. Yeah.
Okay, Cheryl, I do know her. I'll give her a call. That's all done. Some really positive news is the Rural Connectivity Group, RCG, contacted me end of December to let us know that they've gone live with their 300th site in New Zealand, and that was at Corriglen. They wanted to invite all of us to a go live party at Corriglen pub, which didn't go ahead because of COVID. But out of the 58 Waikato sites that they're installing, 9 of them are on the Coromandel. Corriglen and Kaimarama have just gone live. Little Bay, Otama, and Kennedy Bay are under construction, and we have got very much better connectivity coming really soon. They're keeping us up to date with the progress they make, but so far they're getting really good help and response from locals and property owners to help them do what they need to do.
This is quite significant, actually. This Rural Connectivity Trust has finally got some real good legs into it. So all our remote, especially on the eastern seaboard and further up than Mercury Bay North, they'll be connected, if not now, very, very shortly, which is really good. Good for us in terms of emergency management, but good for them. They got fibre, broadband or good Wi-Fi, where they haven't had it before. So.
And so presumably that's just with, a mast with a dish pointing from one place that's got connected to another, and then yeah.
So the issues they've had, of course, are with, as Pam mentioned, with the landowners and dock, more importantly, because a lot of it's on dock land. But they've made very good progress, which is great.
That is really important for us, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Comms and getting messages to people.
So Commons put something out, I think, last week or the week before on it.
Yeah.
Anything else, Pam?
I'm done, thank you. Unless anybody has any questions.
Well done.
Yeah, and thank you. You've just been carrying a lot over the summer, and just want to acknowledge that, and thank you for all your hard and continued work. It never finishes, does it? So thank you.
She's got 4 girls to look after as well.
And some monkeys.
Helen, are you online there still? Yes, she is. Do you want to give us an update?
Hard act to follow. You can see who does the work in our team. Marina.
Hi, Helen.
Hi. So just a few points from me. One focus at the moment is Emergency Operating Centre readiness. So there's 2 parts to that. One is our staff, and we've had a little bit of staff turnover. So it's working with people in capability and identifying who else we can bring onto the team, which is a bit of a juggle if they've got teams that are short-staffed, trying to poach staff during an event. So working a little bit on that. And the other thing is a bit of work on what would happen with a concurrent event while we're in COVID. So how would we, under the red settings, run that? We, in 2020, when we were the 3 council response to COVID, did trial and run our Emergency Operating Centre completely remotely. So we know we can do it. And it's just a matter of fine tuning that if it was a short weather event, how that would run. So the EOC readiness, and then that leads into the training. So real priority for me at the moment is training our staff. We've got new staff on the team, and we've got staff that we're training up. So the focus was going to be the 10th of March full functional exercise, setting up the council chambers and running a full day exercise along with other Waikato councils. With the COVID settings and moving all our council staff into cohorts, that is just not possible. So focusing at the moment then on how we can still deliver that same level of exercising for our emergency operating centre team without bringing people together. So I'm writing at the moment and finalising 4 tabletop exercises that we run online. So we'll start with a incident management team where we set up a scenario, a 2-hour session online, come up with an action plan, and then divide the rest of emergency operating centre staff into 3 teams, and there'll be 3 further tabletops from that. So it does change how we deliver, but it still means that we will be able to exercise our staff, which I think is really important. Also looking a little bit about how we can continue with our foundation induction. That's a half-day training given to all new staff. We wouldn't want to be pulling them into the same room at the moment, and so we're just re-looking at that. The other thing in terms of training is I've been involved nationally with the as one of the reviewers of the Welfare Function course and the Civil Defence Centre course, and both of those were piloted last week. With the NEMA rep stuck in Melbourne, I was asked to co-deliver the Civil Defence Centre course. So we're in a position now where we've got 2 good courses reviewed. So we just got to wait for COVID to go away and get out to our communities to deliver that. Apart from that, Gary mentioned already the work, mostly Pam, but Pam and I have been working with DHB and Te Karawai on making sure we've got sites identified so that they ring us and say we need to be in Thames tomorrow, so we make sure we're all good to go. So there's a set of sites around the Coromandel Peninsula halls, car parks, where we can set those up, vaccination and testing, but also that DHB have contacted us recently about having rapid antigen test sites. So what they would do is set a van and a team of staff up the east coast and a van and team of staff up the west coast. People would have to go online and book their rapid antigen test, and then they go, for instance, to Rhodes Park between 10 and 11:30 to pick up their test. Contact us. So they want provision to be able to have those sites. I think there's 7 around the Coromandel available 7 days a week from now until June. So yeah, really good cooperation from some of the private venues as well as our council. So unless there's any other questions, that's been the focus at the moment.
Thanks, Helen. Any questions, comments?
So just to finish off, one thing that we've been doing internally, of course, and elected members would know this, is we've talked about cohorts and those sorts of things. So emergency management unit, in terms of business continuity, which is our responsibility, is that the leadership team supported the introduction of cohorts should we go into a confirmed community transmission spread. It's taken a little bit of work, but it's the right way to go in terms of making sure that there are only a set number of staff at work in the offices at any one time and the others are away. So, for example, like with us, if I get a case, well, then Helen and Pam can still operate one from the office while I'm away.
Does that go through your contractors too, Bruce? Like have they got their own?
So they manage that stuff themselves, how they're doing it. But I know a number of them are doing similar arrangements to that, because it has been talked about across the sector and across a lot of the construction areas. Often they work in discrete little groups anyway, so if there's a little works crew of, 2 guys, they're mostly just working by themselves. So if one of them gets it, then they're out, but another crew will then have to step in and cover. So it's a little bit different, but there are arrangements in place.
Right.
So really, the work program has been impacted by, there's been a lot of left field activities leading up to summer, including weather and COVID and everything else. We've had to respond, but as you can see and hear, I've got, because Helen has been away for a while, and Pam has certainly stepped up. And it's been a great support, and she's just laboured on relentlessly, so it's been great. So unless there's any other questions, that's my work program.
So yeah, I just had a query. So the council's COVID policy that first came out late last year and's had a revision or two. That hasn't had any major impact on you folk as far as you being able to carry on your normal day-to-day stuff as well as any
Emergency management unit?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it hasn't impacted us at all.
Right.
But it's just a matter of, we've got to be responsive.
Yeah. Rather
than, not too reactive. So, no, it hasn't impacted us. We've actually, one thing that's really, really good internally is that risk, this COVID policy group has brought together risk management, people and capability, and ourselves, and legal, and everyone's in together, and it's really, it's
pulled together well.
It has, it's worked really well, and of course there's just some good brains behind it all. When we all do get together like this, because often in departments you're just doing your thing, but we've been forced together and it's working well.
Imagine if a whole lot of internal departments within TCDC work together. Sorry.
Yeah.
Recording, sorry.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll receive your report, and I'll move that, and I'll have a second.
Happy second.
Aye.
Aye.
You right, Terry? No questions?
All good for me, thank you.
Oh, okay. Have you got anything for a members report, Terry? Anything that's happening over your way that we need to know about?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to quickly tell Gary, I mean, he would know at any rate, that Wangata was busy, but it did work very well. The police were very cooperative and made a presence, and there was no real mischief. There's a little bit of Pauanui, I understand, more so with the youths, and that things went pretty well. So we were very pleased with how it went, and we pass our thanks on to all those who had involvement. So thank you.
Cool, thank you. Martin?
No, nothing from me.
Robin?
Really, I need just to echo the thanks for the good reports and thanks for the work over the summer, so we could all enjoy ourselves.
And it feels like the rain's just come at the right time to help our fire hazard over the next month. As I say, I've been involved at a regional level around, the future of emergency management. And so you've heard about that during the report. And I don't think there's anything else that...
Could I just quickly, sorry to interrupt again, can I just ask Gary, the 3 concerts that were on, I've heard went pretty well, but have you got any comment from your side?
No, through the chair, I agree. They weren't huge concerts in terms of ticket numbers. The team that is now involved in that and organising it and running it is a very, very good team. And our involvement from the emergency management unit was in their event, their emergency management planning, and that all went very, very well. But I think, Lorna might like to add, because Kirsten was involved a lot with them as the organisers. But I agree. I think Joe's farm particularly went very well, and the others all had to cancel. So Lorna's on. She got a hand up there, so she might add.
Lorna, do you want to say anything? No, that's she's not there.
Someone's got their hand up.
Yeah, but it's been up for a while.
Is it?
No, she's just stuck up again. Oh, right. She needs to unmute herself.
You there, Lorna?
No. Okay, well, thank you very much. Those people online, thank you, Helen and Pam. Thank you, Gary. Hopefully the weather, etc. will behave. Who knows about Omicron and what it's going to mean over the next weeks for both our business and our communities. And just to know that as committee members, anything we can do to support from our communities and things, just ask. And we will do our best to support. So thank you very much. So I'll move to receive the members' reports. Martin seconding. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll declare the meeting closed. So thank you very much for your attendance, everybody. Have a safe day. Cool, thank you.